Deputy Marylou McDonald, please.
Yeah. Last Wednesday night, your government voted again to ensure that cuckoo funds continue to pay no tax and outbid workers and families for homes that they desperately need. Those funds, Taoiseach, were back in the news at the weekend. The first story was about a Dutch outfit paying €110 million to hoover up 280 family homes here in Dublin. The CEO of that outfit said, "We could own these houses for 50 years. We are not selling them." In 50 years, Taoiseach, the grandchildren of those struggling to buy a house today will be looking for a home of their own. Another story. A couple who can't buy a home living in the house of a family member, a common story, even though they had saved a very substantial deposit. They are infuriated that your government continues to support cuckoo funds at the expense of ordinary home buyers. And here's another, Taoiseach, Bartra. The private developer awarded the contract for O'Devney Gardens, threatening to sell 500 family homes to a cuckoo fund unless the government dances to its tune. As you know, Bartra was given the valuable public land at O'Devney Gardens effectively for free. But not content with that sweetheart deal and huge subsidy from the public purse, they now want more. They demand that government buy these homes at inflated prices of over €400,000, or they say they will sell to a fund that in turn will fleece people with rip-off rents. The developer is effectively trying to blackmail the taxpayer and is using the powerful presence of cuckoo funds as leverage. This isn't their first act of bad faith, far from it. There have been huge delays in building these homes. They've challenged planning decisions, they mounted a judicial review, and now they very brazenly attempt to hold your government to ransom. Taoiseach, I have to say this wouldn't be happening if government had provided Dublin City Council with the financial support needed to develop these homes back in 2018. This proposal would have seen the delivery of 800 homes that ordinary people could actually afford to rent or buy. And that's what we in Sinn Féin and others called for. And had government listened to us, O'Devney Gardens would be in an advanced stage of construction with families ready to move in next year. But instead, this deal that you have championed to the hilt means that these homes have not been built. And when the first homes do eventually come on stream, Bartra will slap a price tag of €400,000 on them, way beyond the reach of ordinary workers and families. Kinchoid Talav Publia Hugter Seren Ashka the Naforbori Kunteha Hogol Atoro Costahuk a Gordini Golanhi Ger came Tehiact Araig. It's the vor policy on realtas or Furbury a Boggart Teha Chowley a Yeel a Cook Kishta of Ruin Kisana Recostatuk. The fiasco at O'Devney Gardens is a mess of the government's own making. The Taoiseach government was warned at the time and again that this was a terrible deal for tenants, for homeowners and for the taxpayer. You were warned that sidelining the local authority and gifting public land to private developers was a really bad idea. Do you now accept those facts, Taoiseach? And what is your response to Bartra and their attempts to blackmail the taxpayer? What do you say now to Bartra, Taoiseach? And will you now rein in these cuckoo funds by ending the sweetheart tax deals that your government has afforded to them?
Thank you very much, Deputy.
First of all, I thank the Deputy for raising the issue of housing, because I have said repeatedly that in my view housing is the single most urgent and important social issue facing our country at this particular point in time. And access to housing is fundamental to our security, stability and health and progress as a society. And if we do not recognise the scale of the challenge and respond in kind, then the potential has the potential to be profoundly, I think, destabilising for society and deprive many younger generations of the capacity to access housing in terms of being able to buy at affordable rates or in terms of being able to rent at affordable rates. And the Housing for All strategy that has been developed by this government in the last year and a half is unprecedented in scale and in terms of investment. Over 4 billion of state investment. The largest ever social housing to be built year by year. Well up to 10,000 in 2022 between local authorities and approved social housing bodies. Then to provide and support the provision of affordable housing. And then cost rental development also, and also private development. And I said to you last week, or the week before, in relation to private rental, for example, of that 33,000 that we're aiming to develop to provide year by year, about 6,000 of that will be private rental. And you acknowledged that there would be a need for private housing, in addition to the social housing, in addition to the state-supported affordable housing, and in addition to cost rental. And you're rewriting the narrative again today, because unfortunately for you, the housing issue has been all about politics. Well, Devoney Gardens would have been built a long time ago if it wasn't for people playing politics with it. It's either the Sinn Féin way or the highway. We either build houses our way or we'll never build houses. We'll always be against any sort of mixed tenure approach or an approach that involves a mixture of social, affordable and private. And Dublin City Council would have been very involved in Devoney Gardens. It goes back to 2015 in more recent times. That's 7 years, goes back beyond. And you keep saying no. You always have an excuse, a reason to say this project cannot go ahead and so on. And the crisis is so big that we need to get on with it in terms of allowing projects and allowing rezonings to happen. Because the scale of the house building that has to occur means the rezoning of brownfield sites. Let's be clear about that. You're not going to get your 20,000 a year or 30,000 a year if you don't do that. Because we need cities to grow in a compact way where services already exist. But all we have is objection after objection. It will mean disposal of property.
From your gang.
Councils will have to dispose lands to enable housing to happen. Into old industrial sites and cities will have to be rezoned for housing. And if councils have land, they should dispose land to make sure housing happens. Or at least go in, to get housing built, either in partnership with, as we're doing in some places across the country. Because the context here is very clear. We need to build houses at a far greater scale than we have been over the last number of years, and we need to be doing it quickly. And we cannot, no one party can say it's our way or the highway. You do it in accordance with our ideological framework, or we don't do it at all. And that's been the nature of your position for a considerable length of time now. And the Housing for All strategy is ambitious, and there's a very strong delivery mechanism there to get houses built. And we need to get to 33,000 houses a year.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
Mixed between social, private, affordable and cost rental, and we're going to do it.
Very much. Deputy McDonald.
So Taoiseach, if ever there was a salutary tale and lesson of Fianna Fáil in government, Fianna Fáil, the party of the Galway tent and brown envelopes and a cosy relationship with developers, it is O'Devney Gardens. Look no further. Yeah. The reason why this has dragged on and on is because your buddies, who had a public-private partnership arrangement with the state at the time, went bust and let the entire community down. I could go on and on, Ceann Comhairle. I don't have the scope to recount the corruption, the corrupted nature of your relationship with the people that I refer to. And your plan fails again because you are so myopic and limited in your view. And I have put it to you that the funds that you now mollycoddle and afford sweetheart deals to are now coming back to bite at you. Bartra has said, Taoiseach, unless the state steps in and buys back homes at inflated prices, they're going to offload them to cuckoo funds, who in turn will let out these homes and skin people for extortionate rents. And I would like to know, Taoiseach, what you propose to do as head of government about that. Do you believe that the state ought to buy these 500 homes And furthermore, do you believe that the sweetheart tax arrangements with these funds should continue? Because that's your policy in the here and now. And it's your policy that's causing so much hardship to an entire generation of people that you have locked out of home ownership and who endure extortionate rents. That's on your watch, Taoiseach. Those, my friend, are the facts.
You used the word corrupt there.
Yes.
You were the last party to talk to anybody about corruption, because your party corrupted public life in this republic for well on 40 years, to a far greater degree than any other party in this country. You corrupted the moral code of our country and our society by the murder and mayhem that you perpetrated and that you still endorse, Deputy. You still endorse it. You still support the narrative of murder and mayhem and so forth. And you also support...
Quiet, please, Deputy.
You also support the undermining of women.
Pathetic.
Who were raped by IRA volunteers, and your party covered it up. So do not come into this house and lead with your chin, telling everybody else or telling this party that we were corrupt. We had faults and flaws, no doubt about it, but we faced up to it. We never ever attempt, as you do consistently, you consistently try and rewrite the narrative and bury the truth about the level of corruption.
You are pathetic.
Your party engaged in down through the years. Now, to come to the housing issue, what you're good at rewriting narratives, of spinning. But this is about, in terms of Dublin City Council, we've allowed city councils to engage with partners to get housing developed, to get mixed tenure, to get private, affordable and social housing built.
What's your response to Bartra?
We are doing that.
You don't have one.
And in addition to that, we have provided, and you don't like the truth,
you've no answer.
4 billion we are going to provide year by year. And I think you need to start answering some questions now. So how are you going to double, how are you really going to double housing output? You keep saying things, they're just sort of slogans that you articulate from time to time, but there's no meat behind it, no flesh on the bone, no reality behind what you do. You can wave all you like, Deputy, but it doesn't hide the truth.
Look, can we just restore some order, please?